Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an honor and a privilege to have you joining me here today, as it is every day. And a special hello to all of you guys, my international friends, joining us from around the world, talking about all of our favorite things. Isn't that one of the best things about movies? I've always thought when people ask me, well, what makes movies so great? One of my answers that I usually give is that the fact that, you know what? Doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, whether you're gay, straight, somewhere in the middle, whether you're white, black, Asian, Middle European, whatever, it doesn't matter. We all share the experience of movies. Movies is like a universal language, and that is one of my favorite things, one of the great things we can rally around here today, much like the Olympics that are going on right now. That's right, this show is just as good as the Olympics. Anyway, we've got a few things we're going to talk about here today. Here's how today's show's going to go. I have picked out 3 questions and topics that you guys have sent in to me. Now, how do you get a topic or a question on the John Campea Show? It's simple. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line and keep your emails as short as possible, absolutely no more than 90 words. Then after we get through that, we're going to go to the live question portion of the show, because we do the show live every day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. There's a couple ways to get them on, but the guaranteed way to get your topic or question on this show or one of the upcoming ones is to use Super Chat. It guarantees your question gets on, and of course, it's a great way to support the channel, and I thank you for all you guys who utilize that. Now, without any further ado, let's have it. Oh, and I guess I should say, happy made-up corporate company holiday Valentine's Day to everybody out there. I hate Valentine's Day. Anyway, let's move on. First question of the day, and the first topic today comes to us from Gerard Selkirk, who writes, John! Exclamation point. Did you see the news that the Call of Duty movie adaptation got a director? Apparently, they got the director of Sicario 2, and his name is Stefano Sollima. Do you have any word on which game the movie will be based on, or when it will come out? All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And yeah, that's the big news going around right now, is that it looks like, and let's be specific here. According to the reports I'm reading, they have not made it official. They haven't hired the guy yet. But according to the reports, I believe it was Variety that broke this story. According to the reports, it looks like Blizzard / Activision's film division studio, they have decided that Stefano is their guy, but they haven't reached any sort of a deal yet. So it's not official. This isn't in ink yet, so don't take this to the bank that he's going to be directing it. However, it looks like that's the direction they're heading in, which is really quite exciting, because I know for a long time people have been wondering about a possible Call of Duty movie. Call of Duty, of course, one of the most popular game franchises of the past decade or so. I mean, all my friends play it. All my friends love it. I've only played it a little bit. I've watched my friends play it more than anything else, and watched them swear and curse and throw controllers across the room when some 12-year-old kid from, you know, Kentucky kicks their ass. That's always an amusing thing. Watching my 43-year-old buddy get all pissed and start swearing and throwing controllers across the room because some little 12-year-old is beating his ass. But hence is the experience of video gaming these days. Anyway, a lot of people were wondering when this was coming. Now, for about a year, we've heard that Blizzard and Activision have wanted to move forward with something like this. They've wanted to move forward with the Call of Duty, but we hear that with a lot of video game properties, right? Like, remember when J.J. Abrams and the company behind Portal came out and said, we're making a Portal movie? That was like 4 years ago. Nothing ever happened around that, so we're just used to that, right? We've seen the same thing happen with Metal Gear Solid. We saw the same thing happen with BioShock, and we've heard it with Call of Duty. But this is the first real solid step forward, this real tangible step forward that we've seen in a while. And the concept of getting the guy, when you're basically a war kind of motif with your game, getting a director of Sicario 2. Now, we haven't seen Sicario 2 yet, but the trailers have given us a pretty good idea. Now, I've never seen anything that Stefano has directed. All of his stuff has been outside of the US major market, okay? So I've never seen anything he's done, fully admit it. Sicario 2 looks pretty damn good, though. And if you want to take a guy who's got some seasoning and experience doing that sort of motif, that's a guy you go for. So if they can land this, that's a pretty good hire. I mean, we'll know more about how good or bad it is once we see Sicario 2 and see if it's any good, but it certainly looks good at this point, right? So that all looks good. Now, as far as the other part of your question, Gerard, about, you know, what's it going to be about? It's all we really know is that it's not going to be from any game. Now, a couple of the executives were being interviewed about a potential Call of Duty movie. And now, granted, this was back in April or something like that. So maybe they've changed their minds. But back in April, this is what they were talking about in a Call of Duty movie. In the article on Variety, it says, during an interview with The Guardian last April, they both discussed how they were putting together a universe that will draw on the feel of the different incarnations of the game rather than bringing over an existing plot. With that said, it's unknown what era this game would focus on, though it's likely to stay in its present day. So what they were saying almost a year ago was that the movie that they do will not be based on any one particular game. It's not going to have any one particular story that was in a game. It will be based on the feel of the game. And personally, I know a lot of people will be turned off by that. I actually think that's the right move to do that. And they also didn't specify what era, but I agree with the article that it probably seems more than likely that they will keep it in today's era. It's just easier to do it that way and easier to franchise it too if you keep it in the same era. So anyway, what do you guys think? Listen, let me know. Do you guys play Call of Duty? If so, does this news excite you? Were you hoping for a different director? Are you satisfied with this move? Are you looking forward to Sicario 2? Does this increase your enthusiasm for it? Jump into the comment section and let me know what you guys think. All right, let's move on now to the next topic. And the next topic today comes to us from Yuseph Vinema, who writes, huge fan of the show, John. Thank you so much. Like you, I enjoyed Den of Thieves, even though it could have been much better. Earlier, I saw a report that said they were moving ahead with a sequel. I'm sort of happy about it, but looking at box office mojo, it only made $57 million worldwide. How can they make a sequel on those kinds of numbers? Yeah, really interesting question. Now, one of the more recent movies that was in theaters is Den of Thieves. Maybe it's still playing in a couple of theaters around, but I think it's out of theaters now. With Gerard Butler, Ice Cube's kid, whose name is eluding me right now. Pablo Schreiber is in his... Why am I forgetting Ice Cube's kid's name? I was just talking about him last night to somebody. Anyway, so this movie comes out. If you saw my review, I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good. But it was frustrating because Den of Thieves was actually a movie where you could see flashes of brilliance in it. Den of Thieves is one of those movies where you're watching it and you can see the flashes of brilliance in it, which just makes it all the more frustrating when they do some really stupid things in the movie. Because you know, oh my God, this movie could have been like Heat level classic. This movie could have been classic. Because it had all the right pieces there. You saw glimpses and just brief flashes of brilliance. This movie could have been awesome, but it gets dragged down by some of the problems in the film. Overall, still an okay film. I liked watching it. I mean, I wouldn't run back to the theater and watch it again, but I enjoyed watching it, whatever. The movie, though, only makes like $50+ million worldwide. Not opening weekend, not domestic. It makes like 50-something million worldwide. I'll say it deserved better than that. But really, nobody was all that interested in going to see it. So for a movie that wasn't all that great, it had potential, and a movie that only makes $57 million, you're right, Yusef, you're right. It does strike me as very odd, both from a critical point of view why you would move forward with this, and from a financial business point of view why you would move forward on this. I find it a little bit confusing. The only thing I can think of at this point is if the studio, and I believe it's STX, but if the studio believed that the majority of the audience that did see it liked it, and they believe they could make the next one much better. If that's the case, then I applaud them for wanting to take a shot. Because if they recognize, you know what, we had a potentially really great movie here, and we did some things really, really great, but we sunk it with some of these terrible things we did. If they're looking at that and they're recognizing their mistakes, and they think, you know what, we can do this better, and we can fix these mistakes, and we think people will love what we come up with, then kudos to them. I still don't know if I'm the executive of the company that I greenlight it, considering the financial realities of it. Now, according to the reports that I was reading, Gerard Butler has signed on to come back. The director has signed on to come back. And did I say 50 Cent's kid? I meant Ice Cube's kid. Anyway, Ice Cube's kid apparently is in talks to come back, which is great. I just don't see financially how this makes sense. Maybe this will be a straight-to-home video thing. Maybe they'll slash the budget in half. Who knows? We're just going to have to wait and find out. I admit, though, if they put it in theaters, I'll be curious to see it. I'll be curious to see if they can ramp it up and improve on what they did before. I just don't know why they're doing it. All right, let's move on now to the third and final emailed in topic of the day. And this one comes to us from Dante, who writes, "Hey, John, Marvel has hit their 10-year anniversary, yes they have, and celebrated with a giant cast photo from the entire MCU. However, none of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast or the Netflix shows casts are there. Does this finally put an end to the 'it's all connected' statement about Marvel TV and film?" Well, thanks a lot for the question, man. And just to be specific, it's not Marvel's 10th anniversary, it's the MCU's 10th anniversary. And you can see a little bit of it in the thumbnail here, but let's bring this up. So you guys have seen this flying around. There's this great picture of like a ton of people from the MCU in there. Straight down the middle there, you got Kevin Feige, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., and of course Stan Lee sitting front and center as the first four, because that's really your heart and soul core of the MCU. And then you got just about everybody else scattered through there. What I didn't realize, because I didn't take a microscope and go over, I didn't take a magnifying glass and go over each individual picture to see all who was there. I could notice that there were a few of them there. But what I didn't notice initially was, yeah, you're right. From what I could see, there's no Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there's no Netflix people there. Certainly no Runaways cast there. So the question becomes, does this put an end to this? It's all the same. It's all one big universe thing. Here's the thing about that. Look, the MCU, and we're talking about the Netflix shows, and you're talking about not the Runaways, but if you're talking about the Netflix shows and you're talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., technically speaking, they are all in the same universe. Technically speaking. However, the point I've always made is while technically speaking they are in the same universe, on a practical level, they operate completely separately and they never cross over. And we've even seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which every other word out of Coulson's mouth in the first season or two of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was Iron Man, Thor, I have to talk to Captain America, blah, blah, like everything was a desperate vomitage of, look guys, we're in the MCU too, Captain America, Thor, this reference, look, we're in the MCU too. It was pathetic. But I will say this, for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., over the years, they've really scaled back on that, especially this particular season. I'm not loving this season, but this is one of the things they've really scaled back on, like a lot, is they don't just have pathetic, look, desperate to have people, look guys, we're in the MCU too, please love us. They don't do that anymore, which is a big step forward. In the Netflix series, there's like no crossover. They're like vague references. I think in season 1 of Daredevil, there was like a Captain America reference. There's a newspaper article hanging in the background on a wall. They mentioned the incident, but there's no, so in theory, yeah, but there's no practical overlapping. Like, I remember this in the one season of Luke Cage. Luke Cage is like, the police are trying to get him and he's rampaging through the streets and he's even taking out cop cars and stuff. This is in New York City, man. It's like, you're telling me there's a superhuman being rampaging through the streets of New York City, engaging cops and all that kind of stuff, and none of the MCU characters come to do something about it? You don't think that's something they would have been called in to do? But they don't, because, yeah, in theory they're in the same universe, but practically speaking, they never cross anything over. That's reality. I like to compare it to this. In theory, as a Canadian, in theory, the Queen of England is our head of government. In theory, the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth, Her Royal Majesty, is the head of the Canadian government. In theory. In practical terms, though, she has nothing to do with the government of Canada. Yes, in theory, she is the head of our government. I can pull out some Canadian money and she's on our money. The face of the Queen is on our money. But in practical terms, she really has nothing to do with the sovereignty or governing of Canada at all. At all. That's kind of like the relationship between the Netflix series of stuff and the MCU proper. Yes, technically, in theory, they live in the same universe, and you will see these vague references once in a while, and maybe a name drop here or there, but you won't see practical overlap and interaction. So it doesn't, but you know, even then it still kind of surprises me that none of them, they didn't put any of them in the picture. To me, now I don't know if that's Kevin Feige, because I don't think Kevin Feige's ever really liked the idea of doing the TV stuff and saying it's a part of the MCU. I don't think he's ever liked it. I've always got the impression, he's never said this explicitly, I've never got the impression that Kevin Feige has liked it. So I don't know if this is Kevin Feige doing a direct slap in the face to the Netflix stuff by keeping all the television stuff away from their 10th anniversary. Because if it's the MCU, technically speaking, the Netflix shows are in the MCU. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in the MCU. Why are none of them invited? I mean, you got people in this picture who had like one small part in one movie, whereas you got like people who've done 20 episodes of MCU stuff and they aren't there. So I don't think it changes anything, though. I think technically speaking, they're all still a part of the MCU, and in practical terms, we're not going to see heavy crossover. So I think it's really just status quo. I don't think we're going to see much change. All right, guys, listen, that will do it for that part of the show. Now we're going to move on to the live questions. Now, before I get to the live questions, guys, let me take my admitted, 1 minute shameless plug. I admit it, it's a shameless plug. Yes, I admit it right up front. Let me take my 1 minute commercial break shameless plug about the thing that keeps the lights on around here, my Patreon campaign. So just check out this 1 minute spot and I'll be right back. For those of you who have followed me for any period of time, you guys know that I made the decision recently to leave the corporate overlords. I no longer wanted to work for corporations. I wanted to be an independent content creator. And the only way I've been able to do that is by the support of my Patreon supporters. So what I would like to do is to ask you guys who watch my shows, who spend any amount of time with me every single month, to consider going over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. There you'll get all the information about what exactly does it mean to be a Patreon supporter of mine? What does being a Patreon supporter do for helping to make sure that shows like this one and all the other shows I do here on my channel can actually be produced? And on top of that, what benefits are there to being a Patreon supporter? And maybe if you guys can check that out, if you decide you want to be one of my Patreon supporters, that would be awesome. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine too. I'm just happy that you guys have decided to be here today and be a fellow movie fan and join us in the conversation. So go and check out the website, see if you want to become a Patreon supporter. And now let's get back. All right, guys, and a special thank you to all of you who are already Patreon supporters. You have my gratitude. You guys are the reason this channel's even able to exist. All right, with that out of the way, let's head over now to the live questions. We're going to get things started here with Rex Cousins, who writes, what's your opinion on this radical people that think white people shouldn't go to see Black Panther on opening weekend? Have you heard of these stories? It's insanity. Look. Here's the thing. Why talk about a fragment of people who are extremists as if they represent a larger group of people? They don't. It's kind of reminds me of when, what's the name of that radical church group that like protests funerals and stuff like that? Something Borough Baptist Church or something, Hillsborough, whatever the name of the crazy people are. It always drives me crazy. It's a group of like 100 people, but people loop them in as if they represent any person of faith in America. It's like, no, that's some small sliver of a radical group. I think of it same as this way, like a couple of insignificant nobodies who want to call for some kind of boycott of white people should stay away. Like, I pay them no attention, Rex. I don't think any of us should. Next one up comes to us from Craig Hutch, who writes, best movie content on YouTube. Keep it up, man. Oh, thanks so much, Craig. I appreciate the comment, man. That's really nice. Patrick writes, do you still think Martin Freeman is miscast after Black Panther? Yes. I think Martin Freeman is a great actor, and I think he did a very good job in Black Panther. I still don't think he was the right fit for it, but, I mean, he carries the material. He does. He does a good job in it. It doesn't become distracting. I do think it probably would have been a little bit better with a slightly better person casting. And I think there are other roles in the MCU Martin Freeman could have played that he might have been a little bit of a better fit for. But overall, he's still very solid. He's very, very solid in the movie. Johnny Mia writes, I hate it when movies and TV shows have someone talking on their cell phone and the screen is on. The screen is supposed to be off when the phone is on your ear. What are some of movie pet peeves for you? Well, I mean, that's a long topic, Johnny, but one of the big ones to me is computer monitors don't make sounds. So like when I'm watching a TV show and it's like they're looking for a stat or, they're downloading a file. When you download a file and you get that little bar come up that shows you, hey, yeah, you're moving this video file over to your external SSD, whatever it's going. It doesn't go tick, 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 tick. Like it doesn't make sounds. And that always drives me crazy. It's like computers, they don't make those sounds. People, like the designers of these software do not put in sound effects for a status bar. That part I always get mad at that. When I see that in a movie, it drives me a little bit crazy. Patrick writes, will we hear any Star-Lord's Zune in Infinity War? I doubt it. I doubt it. It's certainly not impossible, but it's not a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. They have 75 characters in this movie. I don't know that they're going to dedicate any amount of screen time, even if it's just 20 seconds, to something that's very distinctly a Guardians of the Galaxy gag. So I'm going to say I doubt it. Not impossible, but I doubt it. Haskell writes, hey, John, good morning. Good morning, Haskell. I loved your Uncharted 4 cutscene review. Naughty Dog debuted Uncharted in 2006. It set the bar. All 4 games are classics. You need to watch the other 3 games, cutscene movies, so you get Drake's whole story. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I did do a review of the cutscene movie of Uncharted 4. It's like a little over 6 hours long. But the primo thing was that Ray did a thumbnail for it. Here's the thumbnail Ray did for it. This is how good of a Photoshop artist Ray is. Look at that. I mean, he just did such a good job on that thumbnail for me, putting me in the game's poster like that. That's how good Ray is. Ray is just that great. And yeah, I had a number of people asking me about the rest of the Uncharted series, but by far the one that got most requested was Uncharted 4. I don't think I'll go back and do reviews for 1, 2, and 3, to be honest with you, because I don't plan. I've done a couple this week. I don't plan on doing like one a week or anything like that. I'll probably end up doing like one a month, but I don't think I'm going to plan on going back and doing 1, 2, and 3. I'll probably check them out and watch them for myself, but I don't think I'll do reviews for them on that level. But thank you for the comment on the review. I had a lot of fun doing the review. It was a really great viewing experience. Go and check out the review, guys. It's on my YouTube channel right now, and maybe you'll go and watch the cutscene movie of it. It's worth your time. It's a good piece of entertainment. Thanks a lot for that, Haskell. Amin writes, best thumbnail ever, by the way. What happened to iMac Pro? Oh, so if you follow me on social media, man, when that new iMac Pro came out, this thing is the tits. I mean, this new iMac Pro is like slap your mama till she falls out of her chair good. I mean, it is so... I got that off the Food Network. I don't know why I just said it. Anyway, it is so good. The specs on it are just insane. Now, of course, it's almost $5,000. Now, but which is funny because usually, quite often, Macs are far more expensive than say PCs. But when I tried to spec out an equivalent PC, it was around $4,800. So it was actually not unreasonably priced. I didn't end up getting it. I am still trying to decide. There's a PC manufacturer called Digital Storm, and I'm still trying to decide between getting a really souped up, spec'd out thing for that, because I'm doing a lot more video editing now, and I quite frankly need a machine that's a little bit faster. Or getting that iMac Pro. I can't afford either. Just to be honest with you, I can't afford either. But those are the two I'm kind of looking at right now. I'm just kind of taking my time and saving my pennies for it. Cobra writes, recommend any movies for a single guy to watch today. Noises Off. Because I know a lot of you guys haven't watched Noises Off. It's a great fun movie, even just to sit back and watch alone. I highly recommend John Ritter, Christopher Reeve, Carol Burnett, Michael Caine. Fabulous, fabulous cast. Fabulous, fabulous movie. Check it out. It's called Noises Off. Mason Barr writes, Willy Wonka film directed by Paddington director. Yeah, that's a report that was going around. I still don't know that it's actually going to happen, but there are reports going around that they're looking at doing a Willy Wonka reboot and getting the guy who directed the first 2 Paddington movies. If they make a 3rd Paddington movie that's as good as Paddington 1 and 2, this thing gets in the conversation for top 5 best trilogies of all time. It sounds silly to say that about a Paddington movie, but these movies are so freaking good, it's unbelievable. And if he does end up doing a Willy Wonka movie, that gets me... Look, you know what? It's funny. I don't like Tim Burton. I'm not a Tim Burton fan in general. There are certainly some of his stuff that he's done that I enjoy. It's really funny, though, that a lot of Tim Burton fans, the one movie of his they don't like is his Willy Wonka one. And I think that might be my favorite movie that he's done is his Willy Wonka. I'm one of the few people who actually appreciated his Willy Wonka movie. Mr. Hank Dunn writes, Big fan from Buffalo. I spent a lot of time in Buffalo, New York, man. I used to go over there and watch some Sabre games sometimes because it was just a lot cheaper than trying to go to a Maple Leaf game. Big fan from Buffalo. What comic book character would you like to see get their own film? For me, it's Beast Boy. Well, it's funny. I get that question asked me about once a week. For me, I'm going to say the same one I've said a long time, Bishop. I think Bishop, from a narrative point of view, and his story is fascinating. And you could do a Bishop movie in almost any time period of his existence throughout comics. I think Bishop would make a fabulous standalone comic book movie. I really do. Let's see. Amin writes, John, don't want to get you emotional or anything, but just curious, did you ever get a chance to read the script your buddy Brendan wanted you to have? No, I haven't read it yet. My buddy, it's funny because Brendan is my friend who passed away 6 months ago. And he was a screenwriter. He did some television stuff. Super talented dude. And our mutual friend, Mark, I was supposed to get together with all of our crew when I was in Canada, but then I got deathly sick and I couldn't get together with anyone. Anyway, Mark told me that he's got a few things that Brendan wanted me to see and to have. And I'm going to try. I'm not going to get emotional here. I'm going to try to get back to Canada in April. I'm going to try to fly up to Canada in April and get together with the guys. And then maybe Mark can give me the stuff that, and hopefully the script is one of those things I'm going to be able to get my hands on. Mary writes, no spoilers, but what are your thoughts on M'Baku, Man-Ape, in Black Panther? He was one of my favorite characters, but hasn't been mentioned much in the reviews. I'll say this, he's not a major character in the film. But I loved him. I did. I loved him. I thought he was great. Again, he's not in the whole movie. He's not a big major character in the film, but I really liked him. I'm trying to remember the name of the actor who played him. You guys can look it up on IMDb. But M'Baku was really, really good in the movie. He's one of the highlights of the film. One of the many highlights of the film. All right, let's move on here. Ben Rayner writes, over under 30%. We will see Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke again. 30% is a good number. That's a good line to set. I will take the under on 30, but not by much. If you set the line at 20, I probably would have said over, but on 30, I'll take the under. I've heard nothing, no new development, nothing like that. But the reason I'll still say it's close to 30% is because they did institute that ridiculous thing where now CW can't use Deathstroke anymore on their TV universe, which to me is what the hell's the point of keeping your television and movie universes separate if you can't even use a side character like Deathstroke on television? That's already been established on your TV show by Manu Bennett, and he's done a great job with it. It's crazy. Oh, by the way, guys, if you haven't sent any super chats yet, please cut them off. No more super chats. I'm just going to take what I've got here, and we're going to be done with it. Deather writes, if you mention big MCU missteps, you often name Marvel series like Iron Fist and Infamous. I'm not quite sure what Infamous is. But the MCU movies and the television are two different movies. Oh, yeah, but it's still Marvel. And they're still technically all in the MCU. So, yeah, they're different units, but they're all still under the umbrella. It's like if you want to talk about Disney films, what has Disney done great or bad? Well, you can mention Pixar, and you can mention Marvel, and you can mention Lucasfilm, and you can mention Disney Animation, and you can mention Disney Live Action, because they're all under the same umbrella. If you're asking me what missteps do I think Disney has made, I can say that. If you're going to ask me what missteps Marvel has made, television and movies, they count. They fall. That's all fair game. Luis writes, hey, John, have you seen the new Kickboxer movie? I have not. And if I understand it right, I think, isn't Georges St. Pierre supposed to be in it? Georges St. Pierre, my all-time favorite mixed martial artist. Good Canadian kid. He was in Captain America Winter Soldier. I have not seen it, as a matter of fact. So, and I honestly don't know when. I'm not planning on setting aside much of my time to watch it, but if I get the opportunity, I will. But I'm going to have a lot of free time that I got nothing else to do to watch it. Ben writes, speaking of fan casting on yesterday's show, people wanted Jim Carrey to play Cletus Cassidy / Carnage. Would a younger Carrey make a good Carnage? Sure. Yeah. Why not? I mean, I think Jim Carrey, not a younger Jim Carrey, could play Carnage. You could do that. That's not a big stretch. That's not a big leap to do that. But again, you know my opinion. Hey, he's a good actor. He would fit the role. But yeah, if they announced tomorrow Jim Carrey was playing Carnage, yeah, I'd be excited about that. That would be good news. D. Hannah writes, hey, John, what constitutes a B movie? That's really up for debate. To me, a B movie is something that's very well aware that it is low budget. It's very well aware it goes to be a little bit campy and goes for the surface level hits on it. Something like the Evil Dead series, something like that. That is very surface and is very self-aware that it's very surface and very slim and low budget and doing really campy stuff. To me, that's what a B movie is. But to other people, you may have different definitions as well. But when I think of a B movie, that's what I think of. KHK Productions writes, "Hey John, given the recent news, I was wondering, given a choice, would you rather see a documentary about the making of Fantastic Four or Justice League?" Fantastic Four. Like with all the stuff that went on with Josh Trank, all the information, some of the misinformation, all that kind of stuff, I'm actually a little bit more interested. Don't get me wrong, I'd be fascinated to see a true documentary on behind-the-scenes stuff behind Justice League. But I think the Fantastic Four one actually intrigues me just a little bit more. That's a great question, man. I'd like to see either of them. Luis writes, "Tom Hardy will get an Oscar someday. He deserves it." Well, no, you don't deserve it. You deserve it if you do one particular role that is better than everybody else in the world that year. Then you deserve it. But I agree. I believe Tom Hardy is still at the very beginning stages of his career. He's got a long career ahead of him. If I had to put $5 down betting whether or not Tom Hardy will or will not eventually have an Oscar on his mantle, I'll go will. I think eventually he will. He won't get it for Venom, but I think, yes, eventually he will have an Oscar on his mantle. Robert Johnson writes, "Do you think Tarantino will still get to make his Manson movie about the murder of Roman Polanski's pregnant wife? The resurfacing of Tarantino's comments on Polanski has to make that a PR nightmare." Well, a couple things to keep in mind here. That movie is really not about Charles Manson. Nor is that movie about the murder of Roman Polanski's wife. That plays a small part. We've seen many, many stories come out and reports about that those things, that serves kind of as a backdrop, but the movie is apparently not about that. So I think with that kind of distance, yeah, I think they'll still move ahead with it. Look, the controversy around Tarantino is something that he said and an opinion that he had. It's not anything that Tarantino did. Like, Tarantino didn't do anything, per se. He said something really butt idiot stupid. He, at one point 18 years ago, he held a butt stupid opinion. But lots of people held butt stupid opinions 18 years ago. And hopefully today we've evolved. But as long as Tarantino isn't actually the one who's done anything, then I don't think this would cause any upheaval for the moving forward of that movie. I think that movie's going to be just fine. It's a totally fair question, though. Spencer Smothers writes, "Thoughts on Fassbender joining the Kung Fury movie?" I think it's going to be yet another in a long line of terrible movies that Michael Fassbender gets himself plugged into. Why Michael Fassbender would join this film, I have no idea. I do not think it's a good move. Hey, hopefully it turns out great. Hopefully it'll be awesome and turn out wonderful. Fantastic. I, for the life of me, cannot imagine why Michael Fassbender's doing this, to be honest. Ben writes, "By the way, in case you didn't, one of my other super chats from yesterday, my last name is pronounced Jesusa. Oh, hey, Jesusa. That makes sense. It's Filipino. Oh, really? Kamustika. That's okay. Very cool. Thank you for letting me know that. Arca6 writes, "Why don't more films release extended editions like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit? Why would they? There's really no point in it. The movie is the movie. And I know a lot of directors feel that way. Even ones who put out director's cuts. Like, the movie is the movie. Why put out an extended edition? If you cut things out of the movie, it's because you believe that makes the movie a better movie. Why would you purposely put out another version that you know makes it a less good movie?" So I think it's cool that once in a while these epic films do that because the audience is eating it up. But for most films, 99% of films, you cut that stuff out of the movie for a reason. So you present your final product. This is our final product. There are exceptions to that, sure, but I think that's why you don't see more of them do it, and I don't think more of them should do it, to be honest with you. Alan Gonzalez writes, "Hey, John, can you guess this movie's quote? You're going to need a bigger boat." It's Jaws. It's Jaws, and it's not. I don't think it's you're going to need a bigger boat. I think the specific. I might be wrong about this. I think it's we're going to need a bigger boat. I think it's we're going to need a bigger boat, but maybe it's your. I can't remember exactly. But Jaws, man, Jaws. DD1 writes, "Ready Player One looks very promising. Thoughts?" I think Ready Player One looks amazing. Now, they put out a new poster yesterday that just looks like vomit. I hate the poster they put out yesterday. What is with this trend in posters right now? Like, to me, a great poster for a movie is a poster that captures the spirit of the movie in one frame. But there's this thing in movie posters right now where it's just like, take everything that's in the belly of the movie, every character, every side character, every villain, every hero, every vehicle, every location, and then just vomit it all of it up and put it on a poster. There, put every single thing that's in this movie on a poster. To me, it looks vomitous. I think it's bad design. I think it gives the posters absolutely no character whatsoever. And I hate that poster. I hate it. It's just content vomit. Every bit of content in this movie, let's vomit it up and put it on a poster. There, poster. Instead of like doing some actual thought and say, let's get one thing. Like there's another poster for it, which is just the lead character climbing the side of one of those stills that he lives in, looking out on the horizon. Like to me, that poster captures the feel and the spirit of the movie in one frame. These content vomit posters just do not do it for me. And I know a lot of people like them, and that's great. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. If you liked it, that's wonderful. I'm just saying for me, I just don't like those ones. Gojira King writes, thoughts on Amy Schumer controversy over her new film, I Feel Pretty. I get the outrage, but I get what she was trying to do. Just seems like she missed the marks in terms of message on body sensitivity. I honestly haven't heard much of the controversy at all. I think it's a great idea. The notion that you are fine the way you are. All you need to do is learn to appreciate you who you are and to have that self-confidence and belief in yourself as you are. And if you want to change it, that's great. But to me, that was the underlying message of it. And on that level, I ate it up. I liked it. So I don't know if the movie's going to be any good. Don't get me wrong. But I understood what she was going for, and I personally appreciated the message she was going for. So I'm very curious to see what direction the film goes. Anthony writes, John, I just got my Black Panther tickets. Good for you, man. Hours ago for the first day, first show. Not only that, I'm watching it thrice on opening day. Hype. And I think you're going to be glad that you did. I've had times before I've bought multiple tickets for the same day of a movie. And after I watch it the first time going, oh man, can I sell this second ticket? But I think you're going to be happy that you have those tickets. So good on you, man. Congratulations. Adian writes, what happened to Ronda Rousey? I've heard nothing about her movies. I know she sucks, but I'm just curious. She lost, and then she lost again. And then people realized, well, we were never casting her because she had any acting talent. We're casting her because she's the biggest female name in sports right now. Now she is not. So she did the only thing she could do. She went over to the WWE. There was a period of time when she was the most dominant female athlete in the world. And maybe you can make an argument, the most dominant athlete in the world. But as happens with every great athlete, particularly in MMA, eventually the sport starts to evolve and then you get beat. And she got beat badly a couple times in a row. So now she's over in the WWE. Do not expect to see Ronda Rousey as a movie star anytime soon. Adam K writes, have you seen Hostiles? I thought it was great. Yeah, I did. I saw it a little bit late, but I saw Hostiles. Very, very solid film. I enjoyed it. A lot of people saying it was snubbed of a Best Picture nomination. I think you can make an argument it could have snuck into top 10, but I'm also okay that it didn't get nominated considering the other nominees, but it is a great movie. And one of Bale's finest performances in a long time. It's quite good. KHK Productions writes, one more question. As I hide in my office cubicle, Ash of Evil Dead or Jack Burton of Big Trouble? Ash. I love Jack Burton, don't get me wrong, but Ash is like, give me some sugar, baby. I mean, Ash is Ash. So there are not many people I would take over Jack Burton from Big Trouble, but Ash is one of them. So I will go Ash on that. Anthony writes, do you think you can get someone to manage your super chats? Because you've missed like 3 of mine in the past weeks. No, well, no. Look, I simply have to do it on my own. I have to do it by myself. You know, Jonathan now comes in to help me edit editorial videos. Ray does some things, but I am literally, when I'm sitting here myself, I am the cameraman, I am the audio guy, I am the switcher, I am the talent, I'm also the screener, I'm trying to read all the questions, I'm trying to monitor the live stream at the same time. I mean, look, at the last place I worked, we had a team of 5 people that would do all of that. I'm doing it by myself. I try not to miss any, but if I've missed 1 or 2, I apologize. But also what happens, even with the super chat, sometimes it jumps. and it makes me miss one or two, and I apologize for that, but I am doing the best that I can. So I apologize for that, but I will continue to try to do the best that I can. But no, I can't afford to have somebody come in here at 8 in the morning and be here to monitor Super Chats. I just don't have that. Not to mention, nobody can see the specific stream of Super Chats except for me. That I'm the only one who can. No one else has access to my YouTube account and stuff like that. So it makes it a little bit difficult. DD1 says, John, you need a visual marker that says no more Super Chats. Yeah, but it'll look ugly on the screen. I mean, I've had a lot of people. You're not the only one to tell me that, though. The Crone Doggy writes, if Call of Duty isn't based on one game, it's just a COD branded war film. In '98, couldn't we have gotten Call of Duty Saving Private Ryan? Yeah, you could have. You could have. And you're not wrong about that. It's really more of a brand play that hopefully captures the spirit of the game. If you do that, it can be successful. If you try to adhere just to the story of one of the game, you're 99% on your way to failure, I think. So I think they're doing it the right way. But you're not wrong in saying that it's just really a branding play at that time, at that point. Yes, you're right. You're right. It is a branding play. But hopefully in that branded play, they come up with the best screenplay that they can for something that will play well on a big screen and captures the spirit of the game to make the game players happy. So you're right, but I also think that's okay. You see what I'm saying? Cobra writes, John, have you ever gone early to a screening without knowing what the film is? If so, what was it? If not, would you try it? I just booked one. I have been invited to secret screenings before, and I've never gone because, first of all, getting around in LA is a pain in the ass. Like, just to go to a screening at Century City, AMC Century City, is like an hour and 25-minute drive. And I've never really regretted that I wasn't there for a secret screening. So, nah, if a secret screening is at the AMC Burbank 16, which is a 10-minute walk from my place, I'll go try it. But otherwise, I'm not really big on going to secret screenings. Anthony writes, favorite MCU trailer so far? Age of Ultron teaser with no strings attached. Civil War trailer 2 with Spidey. Infinity War trailer with Ragnarok. Teaser with the Immigrant Song. Honestly, Anthony, that's something I would have to sit down and think about. I don't keep a list of my favorite MCU trailers of all time. So, yeah, I would really have to think about it. I mean, clearly, the first Avengers trailer, when they did that shot of all the Avengers kind of standing back to back and the camera spins around them, getting ready for battle, that epic moment is something that you can't really capture again. So, off the top of my head, I'll say the Avengers one. But again, I reserve the right to change my mind on that later. Sadi writes, favorite season of a superhero show and a villain. Well, my favorite season of a superhero show is Heroes Season 1. Heroes Season 1 is my all-time favorite season of any television show ever. Heroes Season 1, I think, is my all-time single favorite season of a television show ever. And of course, what was the name of the villain that Spock played? I can't remember his name, but he was also just a great villain in that. Archest writes, how do you get invited to press screenings? You have to have a media outlet that is popular enough that a movie studio would want you to come and be there to give your opinion to your audience. So that's how you get invited. There's nothing you can't write to. You just have to be invited. You can't do anything to get invited. It's just you're invited or you're not invited. So that's just kind of the way that is. Kevin Newman writes, the Queen is the head of state, not head of government. Well, you're playing semantics now. You're playing semantics. Technically speaking, she is the head of government, technically speaking. And head of state is kind of head of government, but it's ceremonial. It's only technical. But again, we're playing semantics now, Kevin. Piero just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Piero. Mary writes, the Marvel photo was for Marvel Studios only, which does not include TV division. Gunn and others tweeted this. Coulson was invited but couldn't make it. I think that I saw that, but I think that was a little bit of damage control. MCU is MCU. It didn't say Marvel, like the press releases I got from Disney didn't say Marvel Studios 10th anniversary. It said MCU 10th anniversary. So to me, that seems like a little bit of damage control, to be honest with you. So I saw that stuff as well. But again, maybe that's just semantics. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's just semantics. I mean, it would have made sense. But even if Coulson was there, even if Clark Gregg was there, that's not any nod to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because he was in a number of the MCU films. So that wouldn't have done anything to cross that bridge with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatnot at the same time, right? I mean, but again, maybe it's just semantics. AM Blue writes, saw Annihilation, beautifully disturbing, strapped in. I'm seeing it this week, so I'm hoping it's as good as I'm hoping it will be. Spencer writes, Clark Gregg should have been in the photo. There may have been reasons why he couldn't, as Mary kind of mentioned just above. And KB2 writes, what NFL and NBA team would you want to play for? Well, I would obviously want to play on the Patriots. Just so I could say I played with Tom Brady. Maybe I caught a ball or took a handoff from Tom Brady. And I would want to play any team that LeBron James is on, just so I can say I played for a second on a court with LeBron James. That's what I would do. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today, for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today as we talk about all of our favorite things, movies and television, all that kind of stuff. Listen, don't forget, guys, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, click on that subscribe button. Also, make sure you click the thumbs up button, share this video around. Make sure you follow me on social media, just at John Campea. And that will do it for me, guys. Don't forget, a little bit later today, it is Wednesday, so Open Mic is on today at 3 p.m. LA time. That's 6 p.m. New York time. That's just all live questions for the entire show. We go for about an hour. Make sure you come back and join us then. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.